What's up everyone, Jason at Canyon Adventure Vans, and today I'm going to do an install video on our brand new stop stay door safety system. These are the gas struts that go on the interior of your van to keep these things from closing on you and opening too much when you're off camber or there's a lot of wind. So today we're going to walk through this. You know, it's fairly easy. You just have to have a couple tools to be able to do some Rivnuts in your van, but other than that, it's probably about an hour-long install. So let's go through what you're gonna need, and that is, you know, these are basic, you know, DIY tools that you would have. If you go into a shop, they're gonna have pneumatic, you know, cutters and rivet tools and all that stuff, but for home, just a jigsaw works for cutting out. We're gonna be cutting out the plastic here, and on this end right here, we're gonna notch this out. A vacuum, obviously, we wanna make sure that we're getting all of the metal shavings from drilling so they don't rust. You're gonna need a can of paint, maybe a little tool like this to be able to get these little pins out when you're taking the plastic off. A drill, obviously, to drill holes, and that's pretty much it. So to get started, the first thing I'll do is I'll just knock out these pieces that go here. And let me show you. So in your kit, you'll pop these out. These are your two gas struts, and it doesn't matter what side they go on. And then inside here, we have the bracket. This is for the driver's side, and then the passenger one would be over there. So I'll pull those two out right now. All right, this will be for the passenger. This is for the driver. You're gonna need a T27. So I'll put that in the drill. First thing I'll do is just come in here, pop these off. So this just lines right up. So kind of just get those started by hand. Okay, make sure that everything's good. Now we'll tighten those up, make sure they're all good. All right, so that's done. Now we'll go over to the passenger side. We're gonna do the same thing. So this will pop right off. Okay, and then we're gonna take this right on top of your bracket, not on the bottom, but right on top. Make sure you don't cross thread them. And then, you know, you can turn this however you want. Obviously this needs to go right over this cylinder here when it closes. So you might have to adjust it. We've done about 10 now, and I've only had to adjust one of them. So basically I'll just split the difference. Come in here, make sure that's on tight. Okay, and then what I'd like to do before I move further is close your doors and make sure that none of these got out of adjustment and everything closes nice and easy. Okay, so everything's good there, that's done. Now I'm gonna work on the inside. So we'll start over here. You wanna pop these out, just get a little screwdriver. These just come right out, just like that. You could take this whole thing out, but it's such a pain to put back on, so you can just pull these two out, and you'll see when we bend it that we don't really need to take the whole plastic piece off. I didn't mention this at the beginning, but get like a Sharpie or something like that, because the next step is when we put these brackets on here, I'm gonna scribe it out, and then that way I know where to cut with my jigsaw. And then you'll have basically two of these, one's for the driver, one's for the passenger, and it'll say P and D. So that's the driver's side, this is the passenger side. So what I'd like to do is I wanna come in here and make a mark where I'm gonna cut these. And I want this piece, I'm gonna cut this whole piece off, okay? I don't want it to be out here. I want this bracket to be nice and tight up here. And then once you get that, then I can come in here and I'll mark it. I don't wanna mark it on the edge, because basically what I wanna do is after I cut this notch, I want this to go over my ugly cut so you don't even know that there's a cut there. So I'm gonna come in here and I'm gonna come back about 1/4 of an inch. So here's the front, I'm gonna come back about 1/4 of an inch. Same thing over here. It's basically coming flush to this hole right here. A little less than 1/4 of an inch on this side. Now I can sit here and I can use this and kind of scribe it out and square it up. And then I'm gonna come in here and square that up and use my little bracket as my template, and just like that. And then I'll cut that off. When you put this back on there, you should not be able to see your Sharpie marks. If you see your Sharpie marks, then that tells me it needs to go in to be covered up. Okay, now I'm gonna do the same thing over here. You can always cut it too small and then have to continue to cut a little more as well, but you don't want to over cut this because you'll see your cut, and we don't want that. We want it to be nice and clean. So there's my line. Now if I was to put this back exactly where it's going to go when I bolt it down, you don't see the line. So the next step is cutting these. And you're gonna get in here and you should be able to pull this up just like that. So you'll pull this up and then I'm gonna go ahead and cut this square out. Okay, I got that piece cut out. Now I just wanna make sure that this is gonna fit on there nicely. And that's exactly how it should be when it's all said and done. You want this just like that. So that's good, all my ugly cuts are all covered now. And I'm gonna go do the same thing over here. Now that I got both sides cut out, now I wanna put this back in just temporarily. Your little screwdriver will come in, a long screwdriver, so I can come in here and kind of pinch those little feet in there. Okay, I'll do the same thing over here. Next thing you're gonna need is in your kit, here's all the tools and the drills and everything you need to install this. So what I'm looking for is the drill bit. It's a 5/16 drill bit. What I'm gonna do now is make my pilot holes. So I'm gonna drop this in here like so. This is exactly where I want it to go. And you see, like I'm not bringing it up here. I'm bringing it basically all the way where it's pretty much touching against your frame back here. All my lines are covered up. I like it, cool. Now I'm just gonna do a little pilot hole. Come in here in all three of these. Same thing over here. Now you can see there's my pilot holes and then that's where I'm gonna go drill. So now I'm gonna come in here and I'm gonna drill this. All right, and I'm gonna do the same thing now over here. Everything's covered, I like it, it's good. Try to hold this grate too, hold it well when you do it so it's not spinning and your holes aren't lined up. And then we'll come back in here. Now that we have that done, now we're gonna go to the step bit that we supplied. And you wanna go through here and drill these out. We'll do the same thing on this side. All right, so now all my holes are drilled out. Now the most important thing is we got to clean up all these shavings. You don't want to have any of these shavings left around. So this is our time now to come in here, clean all this up, and now I'm going to lift this back up because there's more shavings that get back in here. So we want to make sure we get all of those out. Everything's cleaned up. I got all my metal shavings out of the way. Now I'm going to go ahead and snap this back in. Now this is where it can be a little tricky sometimes, and sometimes it's not. Every van is a little bit different, but you want to start back here. There's these little tabs. Get that kind of pushed in there, and then get this one, and then kind of work my way, and then get that one. Boom. And that's how you do it. Sometimes it's a little bit harder, but you got to start back here and get that first one, and that first one can be a pain in the butt sometimes, and then this last one. So there you go, that was pretty easy. So everything's in now. Now the next step, paint. We got to keep these things from rusting, so it's really important that we hit anything that we're gonna drill. So I like to come in here and just do a little. Stuff dries really quick as well. Now that's done, we'll let that dry. And then your next step is pulling out your Rivnuts, and we're going to go 3 here and then 3 Rivnuts for this side. So basically how Rivnuts work is you'll see the threads, there's threads in there. You got this ribbed area here, and what happens is once you put them in there and you get a tool like this, you can do it by hand. A lot of times you can just do a bolt with a nut and then start cranking it and tightening it. What happens, it starts compressing, and then what it is this metal right here gets sandwiched between the two, and now you have a really strong foundation to be able to bolt into. But you got to make sure that these are set well. Also, if you ever, in 10 vans, I actually messed up 2 and I cross-threaded them, and then what happened is they started spinning. If that ever happens to you, then you can come back with your drill bit and you can drill these out and pop it out and then put another one back in. We supply you with 8 of these. You only need 6, so if you ever mess any of them up, you got an extra couple. But just take your time on that. So once this is dry, we'll put these 3 in there. In the meantime, you still have one more step, and that is to put these on. In the future, these should be already on. We were kind of playing with a different install when we got all these packaged and these kits ready to go, but in the future I hope that these will already be on there. If not, you'll have 2 of them and they'll go right in the hole that you didn't drill out. And then get yourself a wrench and a socket and tighten those. And so just a 1/2 inch socket and I have a 13mm wrench. All right, so then you'll tighten these up. Same thing over here. All right, so now everything's on, that's dry. We're ready to install our Rivnuts. There is a tool online on Amazon that you can get. I believe it's $20. I'm gonna put that in the link of this install video. And basically, you just screw these Rivnuts on it and you squeeze it and it kind of bolts it in. So for $20, you can have one. You never know, you might need it for other things in your van as well. I think they're pretty handy to have. It's a lot better than just screwing things right into the metal, even in your back doors where you can drill a hole and then have a plus nut, so you can easily bolt something to it and then take it off when you don't need it as well. So this was about $175 and I got it on Amazon. But basically you just screw this in. It's really simple. The pros, the install shops will all have pneumatic guns that do this, but basically you're going in here like this. And then you'll just repeat that 5 more times. All right, so now that we got all the Rivnuts in, we got 3 on this side, 3 on this side. Now we're ready to bolt these on. So in your kit, you are going to have 1/2-inch spacers. You're gonna need 1 of these on each side. And then there's also a little baggie of 3/8 spacers. And you're gonna go 2 of these on each side. We got 3 bolts on each side. And you can do this by hand, or if you have a drill with the correct bit, that works too. I think I do. I had it somewhere around here, right here. So we'll start over here. And the 1/2-inch one goes in front. The 3/8 are on each side. So once you get that lined up, then I'll come in here, set my plate on top. And sometimes it'll help if you just have something that you can kind of line it all up to your threads. Make sure those spacers are out of the way so you can kind of see in there. And then you're gonna take your bolts and run them down, get it started, just get a couple threads on there. And then once you're done there, then you can come in and you can start tightening these down. And then I do like to go back and just make sure that they're snug, because you got a lot of force. There's a lot of force pulling on this ball with your heavy doors. So you want to make sure that this is nice and tight. Okay, that's done. We're going to do the same thing over here. And then last, come over and just crank these down. Make sure they're nice and tight. See, that could use a couple more turns. Okay, so the last thing to do now is put your struts on. So I like to put this part here and the silver part towards the door. You want to do the door first because you don't have a lot of room to play there. But you can see this little pin in here. This is what locks it down onto the ball, okay? So there's this little pin. You want to pop that out, but hold on to it because these things are so small and they're easy for you to lose. So you want to pop this on. Talon has the door organizer on here and it's kind of in the way, but not really. So that'll go like that. And then there's basically 2 holes. There's a hole right there, and that'll go all the way through. And then basically you want this to go all the way forward so it snaps right on, and you can see the pin coming out the backside. And then it'll snap right onto that groove. So if you ever want to take these off, all you have to do is leave this one on, pop this off. You can lay your strut over here to open up your door even further if you wanted to. I don't really see a point for that, but some people have asked, so you can do that. Same thing here. I'm gonna hold on to it so it doesn't come flying out. You're gonna open up your door a little bit, drop that down like so, and then I'm gonna put that pin back in. There we go, locks in, boom. Let's check it out. Let's make sure everything's out of the way. Close the door, open it up. Look at that. Everything looks good. Perfect. Now let's go do the same thing on the passenger side. Again, we'll start at the door. Pop this pin out, drop it down. Just make sure it gets right in that groove. If you'd like to advertise for Canyon Adventure Vans, stop, stay, make sure their logo's facing up. You don't have to. All right, and then we'll put this pin in, locks in, good to go. Let's test these doors. 60-pound strut, so You're never gonna have to worry about your door slamming on you, moving. We got a 20-mile-an-hour wind coming through here right now, and it's not even, they don't even budge. The other great thing as well is they keep you from slamming your door, especially when you have all this stuff on the back. And you just kind of walk away, let it do its thing. And there you go. That is how you install the stop stay door safety system. It's very simple. It takes a little bit of time. I would allow yourself a good hour to do this. Also, you can go to a professional shop to have them installed as well, but not too difficult. Just having the tools to be able to put the Rivnuts in is basically what you need. And other than that, now you have very safe doors on the back end of your van. And we'll see you on the new one. The link will be below for the Rivnut gun. And if you like this, hit like, subscribe to our channel. We'll keep continuing to come out with informative videos on how to install our products. See you next time.